You're listening to The Martin Houston Show on Tide 100.9 in Tuscaloosa. Tide 100.9 app.
Fields in Los Angeles. Here's Eddie Garcia.
News from the NFL, where the New England Patriots have reportedly agreed to trade pass rusher Matthew Judon to the Atlanta Falcons for a third-round pick. This after the Patriots were not able to agree on a contract extension with the former Pro Bowler. Minnesota Vikings first-round pick quarterback J.J. McCarthy had surgery for a torn meniscus and will miss the entire upcoming season. In baseball games of note, battle of division leaders, Brewers edge the Dodgers 5-4. LA's lead in the NL West down to 2.5 games on both San Diego and Arizona. Yankees beat the White Sox 10-2 with slugger Aaron Judge getting his 300th career home run and becoming the fastest player in baseball history to reach that milestone. Orioles beat the Nationals 4-1. Baltimore remains a half game back in New York for first in the AL East and the number one wildcard team in the American League. Astros won their 8th straight, beating the Rays 2-1 in 10 innings. Their lead in the AL West now at 2.5 games on Seattle, with the Mariners losing to the Tigers 3-2 in 10 innings. Guardians beat the Cubs 6-1. Phillies over the Marlins 9-5.
Alabama 1st and 10 on the 12. Again, Houston. He's got a hole. He's over. Alabama touchdown.
I'm just wondering if your listeners know how good a football player you were. I can still see you playing that fullback, knocking those players out of the way. Now, I believe I could have run behind you.
Martin, I can remember when we came to summer and you were playing fullback up there, and I saw you in the weight room and watched you work out in the weight room. If you could pick up, you were strong enough to pick up the whole weight room. I wanted to pick it, and our running back coach didn't take the pass. biggest mistake we ever made.
The Martin Houston Show with national championship winning fullback Martin Houston, giving you 1 hour of intense, hard-hitting analysis from an insider's perspective. It's time for the Martin Houston Show on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Good morning. Welcome into the Martin Houston Show. It's the Martin Houston Show powered by Box Eye Care. Daniel Box OD 205-342-0660. That's where you can find them on the phone lines, or you can visit them at boxeyecare.com. Once again, it's the Martin Houston Show powered by Box Eye Care. Want to invite you to get in on the conversation, 205-342-9904, 205-342-9904. That's the hotline that'll get you in on the conversation. Or you can join us on the live stream on Facebook, YouTube, and X, and you can get your thoughts, your comments, your questions in on the chat. So either way, we want to get you in on the conversation on this Thursday morning. We're live, local, and ready to get things rolling. We had planned to have some recruiting and roster management. X will not be with us this morning, so we may or may not go down that path. I do not hesitate to say that I'm not the guy there. I keep up with it sparingly, but mostly through X. But hey, we'll replace that conversation with some other things. We're going to do a little true false edition of the program today. Was Greg Byrne in contact with DeBoer before Saban retired? True or false? So that's your true or false question there. So let me know your thoughts. 205-342-9904. And we'll keep the conversation rolling in terms of that. Also, we can look at kind of threw me off. Hey Coach, on Wednesday night, totally forgot about Hey Coach being on Wednesday night. Was I the only one, or did you forget it as well? Hey Coach on Wednesday nights, and not sure if I like it. I know I don't like it, but it's for personal, selfish, faith-based reasons. On Wednesday night, I pastor a church, so and, you know, have my youth. And I know a lot of people are torn between, that will be torn between listening to Hey Coach and listening to and going to worship services. So I'll look to get that, but it will give us a couple days of conversation. The positive of it'll give us a couple days of conversation Thursday and Friday to talk about what Coach had to say. So we will incorporate it into the program moving forward. I'm going to try to get a little audio from it today, and we'll see what Coach had to say. I only got to listen to a small segment of it. If you have something from Hey Coach that you want to share with us today as part of the topic and conversation, please feel free to bring it in to the conversation. I also want to start the thought process or questions around kind of this team and its identity and, you know, position groups and who you need to keep your eye on. So we'll have that conversation as well. So we'd love to have you come in and be a part of the conversation. Once again, that's 205-342-9904, or you can always add your thoughts and comments in chat. Remember that this is a day that the Lord has made, so let's rejoice, be glad in it. Take some time today to notice someone, love someone, serve someone, be the difference you want to see in the world today. Also, for those of you who are tuning in and you love high school football, I want to remind you that we will kick off the West Alabama High School Football Pigskin Preview show, and it'll be the first 3 nights of the month of August. It'll be at 7 p.m. And then in September, we'll transition to 6 p.m. Tonight's show will be the highlight. Just talk about high schools in West Alabama. We'll try to hit as many of them as we can that we will be covering. We'll highlight our first game of the week, telling you who it's going to be. So tune in for that. It's going to be a traditional West Alabama matchup. We'll cover the counties of Pickens County, Tuscaloosa County, Fayette County, Bibb County, and Hale County. And if there may be a team or two we throw in that's not in those counties as well. So we'll be doing that. There will be opportunities for you to call in. There'll also be opportunities for you to hear from high school coaches and those who cover high school athletics in West Alabama. Tonight will be the inaugural program of the show, and we invite you to join us at 7 a.m. You can join on Facebook Live and the live streams as well. All right. We'll get to Greg Byrne audio. It's kind of a long audio piece. He and Chris talked about it for a while. Just let me know when you have that. But until then, we're going to go ahead and start on this true false. We have J-Rob. J-Rob, you're in on the hotline. What you got for us?
Good morning, Rob. Martin, how you doing this morning?
I'm doing well, and you?
Good. Hey, I think that's true. I think Greg Burns had contact. I think he had already had a feeling, or I think Coach Saban had already kind of let him know that it was going to happen pretty soon, and I think he'd already made contact with him. There's too many things that was happening. The boy had a contract on the table. He kept putting off signing, and I just think that it all come together too quick.
Did you get to hear the conversation from Hey Coach?
I did not. I heard the very first of the show, and then I had to stop listening. But no, I didn't. What was said?
Well, I'm going to say the audio and let Greg say it, but I think it's kind of both and based on what he said. That there was definitely some conversations around he and Saban. Around Saban's retirement, between him and Saban. Yeah. But he seems to insinuate that he had not directly spoken to Coach DeBoer, which could also be true, which doesn't mean agents haven't spoken to him. If I'm not mistaken, Hey Wyatt, is Jimmy Sexton DeBoer's agent too?
That is correct.
Okay, all right. So understand that some of these things can be true at the same time. So I'll break it down a little bit more, but you're saying true that he had talked with him. You think there was conversation beforehand?
Yeah, I do. I think that it was all coming together, too neat. It was too quick and neat. You know what I mean?
Yeah. If you're trying this case in the court, a public opinion, there may be enough evidence to prove that Saban's retirement wasn't as sudden as we experienced it.
Yeah, and at first I didn't think Coach Saban had anything to do with it, but the more I hear and the more that happens, I believe that Coach Saban had a little bit of hand in who picks it, who was his successor. You know what I mean? I think Coach Saban had a little to do with it.
Oh, without a doubt. Yeah. I would say that Saban definitely was involved in the transition, and Saban has done nothing in 17 years spur of the moment.
Yeah, it's all planned. You're right. Everything he did, everything that he does is calculated and planned and thought out. But 16 days, what's a good number for 16, Martin? I can't think of a 16 off the top of my head.
Well, there was a number 16 that played with me that was he was the guy that you only noticed him if he made a mistake. But I don't know that he ever bobbled a snap. Jeff Wall was the holder for Philip Doyle and Proctor. And I don't know that if he ever bobbled a snap. I mean, I don't know. I can't remember a time where he did that. So it's Jeff Wall Day. Jeff Wall Day.
Great. That's great. Well, Martin, you have a great day today. I enjoy the show. You take care and roll tide.
Hey, J-Rob.
Yeah, man.
Wyatt is reminding you of someone. I'll let Wyatt remind you of someone as well. This probably speaks to just how hard it is for these positions to be remembered.
The NCAA's all-time leading scorer, Will Reichard, number 16.
Will Reichard, all right. That's awesome. Man, how can we forget that guy? Man, I'm ashamed of myself.
He just left.
Hey, J-Rob.
Left, too. Yeah, man.
J-Rob, Will Reichard should now officially be known as the Janet Jackson of Alabama football.
Rodney Dangerfield.
No. What have you done for me lately?
No respect at all.
Hey, we forgot Reichard because we replaced him with the dude that he let beat him out for kicker of the year.
That's right. All right, guys, y'all take care.
Oh man, that's too funny. That is a hard football number. You know, the first two people that popped in my head was Jeff Wall and Red Morgan. So, and I'm assuming Red Morgan's going to keep that number. But I doubt it. I think he has number 16 right now, right? Wyatt?
That's right.
Yeah. So, and then the college football all-time leading scorer, just left our mind. So there we go. But we'll be back on the other side. You listen to the Martin Houston Show, powered by Box Eye Care. Box Eye Care has a brand new on-site lab, and they are there to serve you. You're going to have the same great service you've always had with those guys. But also, you are going to have competitive prices, great selection, one of the largest inventories in frames in the area. So go check them out. Dr. Box and his team are waiting to serve you. That's Box Eye Care. Daniel Box, OD 205-342-0660. We'll be back on the other side. Go to boxeyecare.com and set that appointment today.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. A very good Thursday morning to you. We're starting out very quietly around the area, not looking at any major mishaps or such. And we, however, do have road construction. That's always a given. So you will have to tap on your brakes maneuvering around this on McFarland.
Happen to you, but it can. So if you hit the bottle, don't roll the throttle. Brought to you by NHTSA.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
A partly sunny sky today. The chance of a few isolated showers through tonight. The high today 93. Tonight's low 74. Tomorrow a mix of sun and clouds. A chance of scattered showers and thunderstorms by afternoon. The high 92. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9.
The sound of Bama sports. Your show. Your team. The Martin Houston Show. On your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9. And streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Welcome back into the Martin Houston Show, powered by Box Eye Care. We're live, local, and ready to get things going, boxeyecare.com. All right. Hey, we have a free-for-all Friday coming up tomorrow, and that is going to be brought to you courtesy of The Pharmacy. That's right. The name of it is The Pharmacy. The Pharmacy at Midtown, The Pharmacy at Midtown. TJ and his team are going to be there waiting to serve you. So go check them out. That's The Pharmacy at Midtown. New patients, if you're looking for a great pharmacy, call 205-579-9930. Immunization services, long-term care, medication and consultant services, medication savings, as well as compounding and other services that are offered. It is a full-service pharmacy. That's The Pharmacy at Midtown. Check them out online at pharmacymidtown.com. And that's right, we'll have the free-for-all Friday courtesy of The Pharmacy at Midtown on tomorrow. So make plans to be with us right there. All right. As we were going to break there, we were talking about the Alabama, looking at, numbers, first of all, and realizing that we just know the kicker is the Rodney Dangerfield, and 16 would probably be the Roger Dangerfield number of the Crimson Tide. But also, looking at the Greg Burns true false question on whether or not you think Greg Byrne, had actually, called or spoken to, the board, cause you have to look at this overall, scenario. Was Saban caught off guard? Were we just caught off guard? I actually had several people texting me that told me, they said, Martin, we're watching Saban's last game. One guy said, you need to go back and look at how he greeted everybody at the Georgia game, then how he greeted them after the game. And then they referenced the Rose Bowl. So there was several of my followers that were like, he's out of here. He's out of here. And so if they picked up on that and then it came to be, then there were probably other signs and definitely other conversation. We're going to hear from what Greg Byrne had to say. But before we do that, I'm asking you, true, false. Do you think Greg Byrne had conversation with DeBoer before, or was this a deal done expediently because of the great AD? And you may say, hey, it's somewhere in between. So we have Pat that wants to answer that question. Pat, you're in on the hotline with Martin. What's on your mind?
Hey, Greg did not did not have direct conversation with him. Had indirect conversation with him. Coach Saban had already either Coach Saban did it directly or Coach Saban did it with Sexton, one of the two. Either way, it was as direct can be. But and it was decided.
You're saying true and false, right? You're saying both and, huh?
That's right.
Yeah.
But there's no doubt about that. That those kind of things don't happen like that without, and a good lawyer does not ask a question he does not know the answer to.
Well, we did before we got saved. You're saying Mal wasn't a good. You saying Mal wasn't a good lawyer?
Mal knew what was happening. Mal wasn't coming back. Mal went to Miami and wasn't coming back without Saban.
That was after we had hired Rich Rod, though.
Rich Rod's wife saved us there for darn sure.
Hey, listen, Pat. Let this sink in for a second. Let's think about it. This is old, man. We're going back in the Rolodex. This should have been a flashback Friday, Pat. But listen, Rich Rod's wife told him no because she did not want to leave West Virginia, and so he ends up coming back telling us no. Right? All right.
She just said we was a bunch of hicks. Hey, how can somebody from West Virginia call us a bunch of hicks in Tuscaloosa?
Hold on. Miss Terry, on the other hand, told Mal, yes, we're going to get this thing done. You just don't give up or don't make a move. So let when they say behind every good man or beside, I always say beside every good man is a good woman.
Yeah.
Just think about the influence of those two spouses in the impact on those coaches' careers in the last 20 years. You know where Miss Rodriguez lives now?
In Alabama.
In Jacksonville. I
think it's poetic justice.
Hey, Wyatt, did you know that? Did you realize that?
I did know that. One of my friends goes to Jacksonville State, so it was very ironic.
Is that not one of the most ironic stories? Like you could have been in this state as the first lady of the state, your husband would have been more popular than the governor, more recognizable than the governor, at least his first year. But that is one of the greatest, most beneficial snubs to ever happen. Just think about what our life would have been like potentially had she not talked him into coming back and saying no.
Oh yeah. But hey, but listen, back to what Coach Saban said. He said he was not going to Alabama. He never said he was not going to the University of Alabama.
Well, but he has to say that. See, the people who dog him at that point, he can't say yes, I'm going to Alabama. He was in a playoff run, right? So if he says that, well, why don't his team quits on him? And guess what?
Sure.
Saban may not come to Alabama if that team wins. I mean, if they continue, say that team makes a run deeper into the playoffs, say they get to the championship game or something like that, do you think Saban leaves? I don't think so. Why? What are your thoughts? I mean, you think that the way that season played out, that it's possible that he wouldn't have come?
If the season had played out better than it did, Saban's not in Tuscaloosa. If the one doctor that did not sign off on Drew Brees, had he signed off on Drew Brees, completely different conversation surrounding the University of Alabama, even this far down the line.
Absolutely. I wonder. We need to thank Rich Rod's wife and whoever that doctor was that looked at Drew Brees' shoulder and said that he was not healthy enough to be the quarterback for the Miami Dolphins.
That doctor should never have to pay for a meal in the state of Alabama, or at least half the state of Alabama.
That's true. That's true. Hey, he should be like, what was his name? Pat Sparky from Arkansas. The one guy that picked us all year to win the national championship ends up being our master of parades and grand marshal for our national championship parade, because he was the only guy that picked us all year to win. That doctor he should have an asterisk beside his name as the doctor of the national championship run.
Yeah. Hey, you saw that last night, and I hate it, but you do realize that you can record, "Hey, Coach," and you'll have to, in order to, if you want to answer any questions on "Hey, Coach" on Thursday mornings. But anyway, back to the "Hey, Coach" show. It'll be 2 weeks before Coach DeBoer will be on there, and I did listen to it. But it seemed like to me Greg Burns only took one phone call, and that was from Pee Wee. And that I would have loved to have had that phone call my own self, because I would ask him, why can't we take the ribbons off the edge of the Alabama Jumbotrons, because our Jumbotrons are not that big, and that the poor people up in the stands can't see the Jumbotrons, especially the older ones that pay a good bit of money for their seats too. But just because they're in a poor section, hang on just a minute, just because they're in a poor section or they're poor seats, that they have a right to be able to see those Jumbotrons and should not have to look at advertising around the Jumbotrons. Advertising should be on the field, on the ribbons around the stadium, along the fences, whatever, but not on the Jumbotrons.
Pat, that's two things. It's going to be a losing battle, especially now. That argument would have flown a couple years ago, but they're going to get every dollar they can for NIL because of what they have to pay these players now, and the fact that now you're talking about scholarships going from just in football from 85 to 105 and football, baseball. So the advertising isn't going away. But Pat, you probably Alabama's Jumbotron placement is probably one of the better placements. Have you ever been to Auburn?
Oh, I don't know about that. I ain't worried about Auburn. I'm worried about Alabama.
My point is my
seats are in the corner of the end zone, and you got to look all the way to the opposite end of the field to see the darn things. And it just ain't. It's just not right for the poor people in the stadium. And it ain't just me. I'm just talking about anybody in the corners.
It's definitely just you, Pat, because most stadiums don't have 4 Jumbotrons placed in 4 corners where at least everybody in the stadium can look. Now, it's not Alabama's responsibility to help our eyes, our glasses, our vision, but Alabama does have the Jumbotrons around the stadium. I went to a game at Auburn, and everybody talks about how awesome and how big their Jumbotron is. Pat, yeah, but it's only in one spot, and a third of the stadium can't even look at it much.
Exactly.
So you could be an Auburn fan. So be glad that you're an Alabama fan, and at least they have one. Hey, Pat, go. Let me see it. You're listening to the Martin Houston Show, powered by Box Eye Care, Pat.
I guess I'm going to have to go get me long-range spy glasses.
There we go. Go see Dr. Box and tell him that you're having some issues seeing the Jumbotron at Alabama, and ask him what does he recommend and see if he can't get you taken care of.
hey, that's the small. We're going to need a telescope.
Well, see if Dr. Box or Box Eye Care can take care of it.
All right. Have a blessed day, Martin Houston. We're going to talk some recruiting tomorrow. X will be back tomorrow, hopefully.
I hope he will, but if not, we'll try to get a little bit of it in. All right. Hey, that was Pat. That was Pat, and I love it. Hey, listen, if you're having issues seeing something, for me, it's my arms. Wyatt, my arms aren't long enough anymore. You know what that means, Wyatt? You don't know what that means, do you? Huh?
Does that mean your vision's going out?
Well, yeah. When you have you ever seen older people? At one point they have to, their arm is kind of bent, and then they stretch and move it, and they have that movement back and forth is the focusing mechanism. And at some point, you get to a point where you can't move it far enough away for it to focus. So that's where your arms get too short. So, but anyway, if you can't see the Jumbotron and you're an Alabama fan and you're in the stadium and you can't see the Jumbotron, I know the guy that can help you, and that's Box Eye Care. 205-342-0660 or visit boxeyecare.com. We'll be back to keep the conversation rolling.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. A very good Thursday morning to you. We're starting out very quietly around the area, not looking at any major mishaps or such. And we, however, do have road construction. That's always a given, so you will have to tap on your brakes maneuvering around this.
You're feeling these changes within just a couple of days.
Text support to 511-511.
These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Tax fees may apply.
Interact with the Martin Houston Show by calling us at 205-342-9904 or tuning into the Martin Houston Show on Facebook.
Welcome back into the Martin Houston Show. Get your officially licensed Legacy gear today. You can get that at athletesthread.com/collections /Martin-Houston. Code, get your officially licensed co-branded gear. I want to thank the great folks over at the Venue, your new favorite Tuscaloosa hangout. That's the Venue, featuring Liza's Sweet Shop, subs, sandwiches, and more there. Also, you have Finney's Pub. Don't forget to check them out. Great food options there. Great hangout. And last but not least, you can take advantage of the all-day breakfast at Ramajama's. And, hey, with high school football season just around the corner, they're going to be kicking off fifth quarter. Going to be an opportunity for the kids to have a safe place to go hang out after the football games. So go check out the Venue so you'll know exactly where to take your kids and where to send your kids post the high school football games of West Alabama. And speaking of that, tonight is the first night that we kick off the West Alabama High School Pigskin Preview Show at 7 p.m. tonight, right here on your home for Alabama Sports, Tide 100.9 and 12:30 a.m. All right, let's keep the conversation rolling, and we'll get that. Let me see. I think we have another caller that wants to talk about the true-false question with Greg Burns, whether or not he had conversation with DeBoer or not. And I've not played the audio yet. We do have a little bit of that. Let's get Actually, let's play that audio, just a little bit of it. We won't play the entire interview. Wyatt, if you could pull that up, let me know when you have it ready. Let's play that before we circle back into the conversation there. All right. Go ahead, Wyatt, if you'll fire that up.
For the 2024-2025 academic year, I can say it without reservation, the best guest that we have had this season joins us right now.
The bar's low.
The bar's low. It always, if I'm going to go through, it's going to have to.
That's right.
Greg Byrne, our Director of Athletics, joining us here at Baumhower's Victory Girl. Good to see you, sir.
Good to see you, my friend.
Interesting few months for you. No big deal. Just got to replace the best coach in this era of college football, and less than a week later, you got your guy in place. Nicely done. Well, I know it's constant since then.
Yeah, I tell you, we obviously have an incredible program to go hire people to, right? And President Bell, our trustees, our fan base, Coach Saban and Miss Terry, they put us in the best possible position to go out and really be an attractive place for somebody to come to. And obviously, since the day, I remember the day I was hired, probably got asked about 9,000 times, what's it feel like to be the guy that's going to hire Nick Saban's replacement? The answer was really easy. We're going to kick that can down the road as far as we can. And we did. Yeah. And when Coach and I were talking, he retired on Wednesday, and we had a long talk on Tuesday beforehand. And, obviously he knew we didn't want him to retire, but he also deserved the right to retire.
Sure.
And so, we rarely would ever talk about that subject, but we did occasionally. And, at some point on that Tuesday, I said to him, Coach, I know you'd be disappointed in me if we weren't prepared. And just like Coach Saban, you'd think he'd respond, he did. He's like, absolutely. And obviously I studied when John Wooden retired. I studied when Bear Bryant retired, Pat Summitt. I mean, you look at some of the iconic coaches in our industry, and so what could we learn from those things? And then you complicate it with the transfer portal and NIL,
right,
and different dynamics that were, it's so much of it's uncontrolled. And so one of the things I knew we had to do is we had to keep the roster together. And so much of our focus was what can we do to have that be the case. And when Coach told the team he was retiring, because it was so important to him that he wanted the team to hear it first, as they should. And so I followed up on the stage right after Coach Saban made the announcement to the team. And I said to the team, I said, you got to give me 72 hours. You got to give me that. And I knew I was going to have to get to Seattle, because even though I hadn't had any conversations, I knew that was going to happen. And, or I wanted it to happen, I should say.
Right.
And so I pulled out the leadership from the team, got them and said, you're going to hold the locker room together. We had a few key staff members that are still here today. And we said, we're going to make sure, Alabama's not changing who they are. We obviously have an impact that you can never describe by what the Sabans have meant to our university, right? And so, but the standard that he had set, that is going to continue. Right. And we're going to get somebody who's going to care about you as a football player, but more importantly as a person, just as much as Coach Saban and Miss Terry did as well. And I can tell you the next day Regina and I were in Seattle, and right away when we sat down with Kaylin and Nicole, it's like, and I said at the press conference, would I want my son to play for the coach? They better be a great coach. They better be a great recruiter, all the different things. But we're Alabama. We should be able to hire really good people. And we hired a really good person and a heck of a coach, and somebody that's extremely respectful of what the University of Alabama represents, somebody that's very respectful of what Coach Saban and Miss Terry represent, and then also somebody that's confident in who they are as a coach too.
All right. And he went on a little bit more to even, and then Chris even responded with about what type of man he is. But why there were several things in there that he said that in some ways contradict Saban's statements a little bit. But you have to understand Saban's words and what he was saying. But, there was definitely some good content there. We got a couple callers that want to talk about that. So we'll get to them, and then I'll give you my response to what Greg Byrne had to say there. A couple of things kind of jump out at you. But, Philip, you're in. What's on your mind?
Well, good morning. I was just going to dovetail in with your talk on Byrne's comments about hiring DeBoer, and I guess the premise is, did Alabama have how would you term it, Martin? Can you help me? How would you term it?
Yeah. Well, true or false? Did Greg Byrne have conversation with DeBoer before that Wednesday, before he flew out?
Yeah. Well, to put it bluntly, yes. And isn't it a wonderful thing?
Yeah.
It's a wonderful thing because had he not followed up on, had he not done that, then I'm not real sure what would have happened at that point when it came to hiring the coach. So Alabama got the best available coach because of their forethought in this and possibly some sort of reaching out in some sort of a way early on. So
you don't know that Greg Byrne actually had a conversation, but you definitely think there was conversation with DeBoer and Alabama.
Yeah, you can reach out in a lot of different ways.
Yeah.
So it's a wonderful thing because we are Alabama, and we can reach out in different ways.
What did he say happened like over 9,000 times from the day he was hired? Do you remember what he said? He said from the time he – go ahead.
Well, the main thing I remember is, he said that, he wants to have he wants to win championships. I remember Byrne has said that. And, of course, he mentioned about, kicking the Saban thing kicking that can down the road as long as possible. And when he knew he couldn't and he knew the time was coming, I think tentacles were definitely extended to DeBoer.
Well, here's a couple things. There's one thing he said that absolutely, like I said, it may be semantics, it may be directly, indirectly, but this one word will make me come down on the side of true. Now, I can't say whether or not Greg Byrne ever talked to him, but DeBoer was not completely in the dark with what was going on here in Tuscaloosa. Here's an interesting stat. He said that from the time he was hired, 9,000 or more times, and of course he was just throwing a number out, of course, you know that. But the point was, everywhere he went, people would ask him, what does it feel like to be the guy who is going to have to replace the GOAT? And if you get that question all the time, everywhere you go, then you probably are not caught off guard. He also said, we didn't talk about it. We didn't approach that subject often, but we did talk about it. So, so I have to get the break here, Phil. If you got anything else, and we'll get Chip on the other side. But.
Yeah, the only thing I'd like to add was that was the interesting part of the show last night. But you know what the most interesting part to me was last night on that show?
I haven't got to see it.
He talked about the new basketball arena.
All right. Well, hey, if you want to talk about that, hold on. We'll get you on the other side, Philip, if you want to share what he had to say, because I have not heard it yet. So hold on. We'll break here. We'll break here. We'll be back on the other side. Go check out Taco Casa quality, taste, and value. And the biggest cactus in town right here in Tuscaloosa, West Alabama, to serve you 6 locations, one up in Birmingham off of Lakeshore Drive. Since 1974, Taco Casa has been doing it the right way. Quality, taste, and value.
Coming up on The Game with Ryan Fowler.
Coming up on the Thursday edition of The Game, we're going to feature Rodney Orr, InsiderInsiders.com. We're going to take your reaction as Alabama one day closer to scrimmage number 2 on the campus of the University of Alabama. We're going to preview that and a lot more starting at 2 p.m. here on The Game on Tide 100.9, 1230. WTBC, your home of Alabama Crimson Tide Sports.
The longest running sports program in Tuscaloosa. The Game with Ryan Fowler. Weekdays from 2 to 6 p.m. on Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Here's what's trending on the Tuscaloosa thread.
Good Thursday morning. 2 youths were arrested in Tuscaloosa in connection with a Macon County homicide investigation. Alabama law enforcement agencies said 18-year-old Elijah Rogers, 18-year-old Bartholomew Howard were taken into custody by the Tuscaloosa Violent Crimes Unit, formerly charged with murder and attempted murder. They are accused of killing a 16-year-old and wounding a 17-year-old. Authorities say they will be tried as adults. Click TuscaloosaThread.com for more local news. It's free. Don Hartley, Town Square Media, Tuscaloosa.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. Looks like we've got a little trouble on Joe Malisham at Culver Road intersection. That possibly an accident. Very heavy slow goes definitely. Otherwise, it's running smooth in the rest of the area. Not seeing any severe delays on Lurleen.
Of natural gas with rebates up to $800 from Spire when you switch from electric. To learn more, visit SpireEnergy.com/reliable.
Locked into Tide 100.9 for more of the Martin Houston Show with Martin Houston and X's and O's Sports, Xavier Houston.
Welcome back into the Martin Houston Show, powered by Box Eye Care. We want to remind you we have the Free For All Friday powered by TJ and the pharmacy at Midtown. We'll kick things off. We'll talk about the scrimmage and what all is happening with Alabama, what to look for, who takes a step forward, who to keep your eye on. We'll talk about all of those things. Is Philip still on with us?
Yes.
Philip, if you would, hit that real quick so we can get to Chuck.
I'm here, Martin. I was just going to say the most interesting thing to me on the show last night was Byrne talking about the new basketball arena.
Yeah. What did he have to say about it?
Well, he just talked about, how it was going to be a competition only and how it was going to tie into the new practice facility and how it would tie into the, to the existing Coleman facility and whatever they're going to do with that. But the point I'm making is that topic is not dead.
Oh, well, it's definitely not dead, Philip. I think everybody, the fans are all talking about wanting a new playing facility. Greg Byrne and Nate Oates feels like that they can do some things to continue to improve Coleman. But if they get the practice facility and where the players spend all of their time, except for those few hours on, Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Saturdays, where the fans spend all of their time at, that he can improve his basketball program. And I think that that's what you're going to see as a result, is that all of this thing is going to be like all of the things that prepare Alabama for Bryant Denny. We're going to see Nate Oates have all of that for basketball to prepare him for Coleman Coliseum. And then we're going to put a little bit more lipstick on that pig. And we're going to find out that a winning program will fill up even the old Coleman Coliseum, the old hangar, will be a place that's live and kicking if Nate Oates gets these other aspects. Appreciate that, Philip. Thanks for bringing that up. All right. Hey, we're all going to have to adjust to Wednesday nights with Hey Coach and Pat. Wyatt Pat said, you can record it, Martin. No joke, Pat. But anyway, and a lot of other people recorded it as well, so I definitely will be able to review it. But Chuck, you're in on the hotline. What's on your mind?
Yeah, I was just chiming in back earlier. You were talking about Rich Rodriguez, and good morning to you all. One thing about Coach Rodriguez, before he ended up in Jacksonville, Alabama, he was right here in my hometown of Monroe, Louisiana, at University of Louisiana Monroe on Terry Bowden's staff. that 2021 season, that one season, he was offensive coordinator, and his son Rhett was quarterback, and then Rhett ended up going with him, and they all ended up at Jackson, and he got the job at Jacksonville State. And by the way, lead us with you, Coach Bowden, he's out of he still lives here in the Monroe area, and what he's doing, he's working at a high school not far from here, Delhi, Louisiana. That's 40 miles east of me on Interstate 20. He loves the area, and he's working at Delhi Charter School. I want to point that out. I think he's gonna be working with the football team, and he's gonna be working in the classroom setting. But I think he loves looking at the area, and it's kind of living. He's lived all around. He's been all around coaching, and I think he's settled down. So he's now going to tell you all he's at Delhi Charter School in Delhi, Louisiana. I'm gonna land on that one.
All right, thanks, Chuck. And that's Rich Rod made his rounds. Made his rounds after turning down Alabama. Even had a stint at Ole Miss, if I'm not mistaken, but is down now and doing a great job at Jacksonville State. I'm not dogging him. It's just ironic that his wife did not want him to take the Alabama job and move to Alabama, and then she ends up